What happens when a loud, over-controlling HOA neighbor suddenly loses her beloved dog, blames the entire neighborhood, and even brings in the police to investigate? That's exactly what happened one bright morning when HOA Karen stormed out of her house in slippers and a robe, waving her arms in the air and screaming that her precious little dog Tommy was gone. Her voice carried through the cul-de-sac like a siren, pulling curtains aside, making children pause their games, and drawing suspicious looks from nearly every porch. She shouted, "Somebody stole my baby! Somebody took Tommy!" as though she were announcing a crime to the world. People began to gather in their front yards, some still holding mugs of coffee, others shading their eyes from the morning sun, all with the same confused expression. Was she really serious? Or was this just another episode of Karen's endless drama? Karen darted from one house to another, pounding on doors and accusing neighbors. She yelled at Mrs. Jenkins across the street, asking if she saw anyone sneaking around the night before, and accused young Timmy, the boy who often rode his bike past her yard, of leaving the gate open on purpose. Timmy's mother was furious and told Karen to stop scaring her child, but Karen, with messy hair and wild eyes, refused to calm down. The neighborhood, already used to her bossy HOA rules and constant complaints about lawn lengths, barking dogs, and parked cars, couldn't believe she had now turned her chaos into a missing dog investigation. Her shouting grew louder until even people on the far end of the block stepped outside to see what was happening. "He's been stolen!" Karen wailed, clutching an empty dog leash like it was evidence from a crime scene. "Tommy never leaves my side. Somebody must have taken him." Children whispered among themselves, trying to figure out if a real dog napper was on the loose, while older neighbors muttered that Karen was being ridiculous again. Still, the sight of her stomping around, checking under bushes, and demanding everyone search their yards created a buzz of tension. Some neighbors reluctantly began looking under porches, near fences, and even inside their garages just to prove they had nothing to hide. A few people pulled out their phones and began recording, knowing that whenever Karen went on a rampage, it was pure neighborhood entertainment. Within an hour, the scene escalated so badly that Karen threatened to call the police if the dog thief wasn't found immediately. She screamed that the HOA would fine anyone hiding Tommy, and even claimed she had proof that someone down the street was jealous of her perfect little pet. The neighborhood grew restless. Some people laughed quietly, others rolled their eyes, but a handful started to get nervous that Karen might actually succeed in dragging them into trouble. Finally, her threats came true. Sirens echoed faintly from a distance, and before long, a black and white police cruiser rolled slowly into the cul-de-sac. Karen ran toward it, waving frantically, almost throwing herself in front of the car. The officers stepped out with a mixture of caution and irritation. They had clearly been warned about a hysterical dog owner causing a disturbance. Karen immediately launched into a dramatic performance, crying that her dog had been kidnapped, demanding that every home be searched, and pointing fingers at anyone who dared roll their eyes. The officers exchanged skeptical glances but tried to calm her down, asking simple questions like when she last saw Tommy, whether her gate had been left open, or if Tommy had a collar with ID. Karen twisted each question into another accusation against her neighbors. She claimed that the Smith family down the block had always hated her dog because it barked at their kids, that the quiet couple on the corner must be hiding something, and that even the mailman seemed suspicious. The police tried to separate her from the crowd gathering around, but Karen's voice cut through everything, echoing through the street as she insisted her dog had been stolen. Some neighbors started arguing back, shouting that Karen was wasting everyone's time while others just wanted the chaos to end. By now, the entire neighborhood looked like a crime scene. Police officers walked from yard to yard asking basic questions, while Karen followed them closely, interrupting with exaggerated sobs and claims that Tommy would never just run away. The children, caught between fear and curiosity, trailed behind. whispering like it was the most exciting thing they had ever seen in their quiet suburban block. The police radio crackled as dispatch checked whether any stray dogs had been reported nearby, but Karen wasn't interested in rational explanations. She was convinced it was a criminal act. She even accused one of the teenagers who was filming the scene of taking Tommy just to get views online. The boy laughed and the crowd chuckled, but Karen exploded, yelling that no one was taking her seriously and that she was the victim of a cruel conspiracy. The officers, trying to maintain order, told everyone to return to their homes, but nobody moved. It was too entertaining, and nobody wanted to miss what happened next. As the sun climbed higher, the scene turned into a full-blown neighborhood spectacle, with HOA Karen in the middle of it all, screaming, crying, and demanding justice for her missing dog. The police officers quickly realized they were caught in more of a neighborhood spectacle than a real crime, yet since Karen had officially reported her dog missing, they had no choice but to act. They asked neighbors to open garages and backyards, but some refused, which Karen immediately declared as proof of guilt, screaming that the police should arrest them. Children whispered on bikes, teenagers filmed for social media, and frustrated. Residents muttered that Karen was once again turning the block upside down. The officers tried to piece together a timeline, but Karen's story kept changing. Sometimes she said Tommy was last seen in the yard. Other times she swore he had been inside the house, and each version only fueled more confusion. Some neighbors pointed out that Tommy had slipped through Karen's loose gate before, but she shouted that was a lie and claimed people were jealous of her perfect dog. Arguments broke out, and the police struggled to keep order. After hours of fruitless searching, a bark was suddenly heard near the community garden. Everyone rushed over, and there was Tommy, happily digging in the dirt with butterflies fluttering. Around him, wagging his tail as if nothing had happened. Karen cried with joy and scooped him up, but instead of relief, the neighbors erupted in anger, scolding her for wasting their entire day and dragging police into unnecessary chaos. The officers reminded her to secure her yard and warned her against accusing people without evidence. Still, Karen hugged Tommy tightly, acting as if she had been proven right, while the rest of the neighborhood walked away shaking their heads, certain that this would not be the last time HOA Karen caused such a scene.